All right, should be live. Welcome everybody to the crypto webinar here with Sam at CryptoLifer.
We
Welcome everybody.
we've
We've done this Pro Trader webinar with Sam before. He's awesome. It's fantastic to listen to Sam's analysis on crypto markets and different instruments in here. Yeah, he's looking for order flow patterns in Bookmap and this new liquidation indicator that we have some updates and upgrades to that. Just a quick trader biography if you don't know who Sam at CryptoLifer is. He's through his detailed studies of technical analysis in crypto markets, Sam learned to become profitable, which has allowed him to trade full-time. Since then, he's decided to devote his life to helping others achieve the same freedom he's achieved through his crypto trading. I've got a few links in here. I've got his website and his YouTube channel. So if you want more information on that, he does have a trading room. You can reach out to Sam. I need to go through the disclosures and then we'll turn it right over and get going here. So general disclosure, all Bookmap limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. The risk disclosure, trading futures, equities, and digital currencies involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. All right, so Sam, yeah, let's take it away and we'll get going here.
thank you so much. Everyone can hear me nice and clear. Let me boom up the audio a little bit here. Check, check, check. 1 2 1 2. Check 1 2 1 2. All right, yeah. So when I first got introduced to Bookmap, it looked as foreign as most people see it. I remember when I bring it on my screen, some people are like, "What is that?" And it can almost intimidate people at first because it's like it seems like you have to be smart to understand it, right? It became a lot more practical than I ever realized, and it's really pretty much just what you need to see. I was always thinking there was some magic key behind the door, but really is just what it is.
Hey,
And
hey,
what it can.
Sam, I think your audio is fine, but your video just went down in Discord.
Okay, yep. Let me see. Something happened here. My Discord out of nowhere reset. I'm like, I
Ah,
wonder. Here we go. Share screen. So sorry about that. Dang. There we go.
oh, we're back. Okay,
Yeah.
excellent. Thank you.
Yep. And so, when I look at data on Bookmap, and when the team came to me, they said, we like your trading. We think you could use Bookmap. And at first I was like, I don't know, but every day as I put it on, and what happens is too with Bookmap, and I think with everything, is the more you use it, the more you understand it. And because you're using what you already knew, and then you're bringing in a new instrument, and you need that to eventually couple like a confirmation signal that you're normally used to. And then one day you see something like that, boom, you start to realize that you can, implement Bookmap in another way. And let me explain what I mean by that. So I was trading a lot, right? And I was, I'm a support resistance guy. A lot of people think I find like, oh, he trades the basic indicators. Like I don't have any paid indicator out here. You don't see Lux Algo, no market cipher, nothing like that. And honestly, by using all these indicators, the main ones that I was able to figure out how mainly the people that made all the other indicators made them, with the exception of some maybe volume weighted average profile and a few other things looking at money flow. For the most part, you can really figure out what's happening in the market. So like back in the day, for instance, I would be looking at data and I would watch Bitcoin take a tumble, right? Or even today, like take a pump. And so today I want to talk about like, the move that we made to the upside, right? And so as a lot of people get excited and they jump into green candles, right? But me, I'm a pattern trader. I'm going to be looking for a pattern. The second I see a pump, I'm going to be looking for some type of consolidation, right? Now, if this came back down violently down, then we knew it was like a pump and dump scenario or like a hype scenario that's just going to give it all back. And that's why you look for flags. What flags tell you is, hey, there's consolidation here. People aren't getting rid of this price so fast. They're not so excited. They're excited to get up to about 17K and they're not ready to get rid of it, right? The fact that, and again, the 500s are also psychological, but the fact that we're staying at this 16,000, 17,600 area is a healthy sign for the day. You know, we pumped up, we didn't break back down below 17,003, right? And so what I like to look with Bookmap is I just like to see it maybe corroborate some of this information, or see if there's data out there that suggests maybe that there's not as many sellers left, you know? And one thing that's cool to do is to use the liquidation indicator. You can see 72,011 accounts got liquidated right there. Just occurred really in the last, 10, 20 seconds as we were sitting here. And that tells you, okay, there was people trying to long the market. They wanted to long, they loaded up, and there was enough of them to basically fill a pretty big order or someone else's order that maybe wanted to go the opposite way, right? So what you have to understand too how a whale trades. And this actually, what Bookmap did for me is it made me realize how much I needed to understand psychology of trading, not just the charts. And what I mean by that is, how does someone with hundreds of Bitcoins fill an order, right? And when you look at an order book, or even just look at price action, say some guy wants to buy another 2,000 or 1,000 Bitcoins down at 17,165 right now after this pump. Now, for him to do that, he's going to have to liquidate a lot of people. Like a lot of small sellers are going to have to sell off, 1 Bitcoin, 4 Bitcoin, 3 Bitcoin, and to amass amount to fill his order book. He can't just jump in anytime he wants and try to fill $2,000, 2,000 Bitcoins or 5,000 Bitcoins. He has to create a scenario that creates fear and induces a lot of people to do the same thing at once. That, number one, it does two things. It fills his bags, right? Number two, it also fills his bags less noticed, right? He swoops in during the liquidity shift, okay? And then when the market, when the price action recovers, he's already back in on the order book, right? So you watch this and you can see, okay, well, for someone to be able to fill a huge order, they're going to have to liquidate some people. And remember, again, you're not going to get every liquidation in the whole world in all the markets. You're going to get, data from, like, this is probably pulling Bybit, OKX, and some Binance futures data. And what it's just going to let you know, though, is, that whale probably got filled at that point, Without seeing the liquidations and seeing what's happening there, you can't really fully tell, like, who got what or what actually happened. Why did this green candle spark? So it's interesting to see, a big order get filled as I get a green candle. Before, I just saw a green candle, and it wasn't the worst thing in the world. Like, I saw my support and resistance. So, and I saw my Stochastic RSI, which told me momentum was waning. What I also like is using momentum indicators with Bookmap. And why I like doing that is because momentum indicators are supposed to be able to tell me, in theory, when most of the liquidations are getting extended, because it's supposed to tell me when the sell liquidation and that, that amount of momentum to the downside is waning, right? So in theory, if I use the Stochastics RSI for a few years and then I couple it with Bookmap, they should begin to overlap. And as you see here, like, look at the 15-minute being extremely oversold. Now, we are looking at like a 1-minute chart technical, or second chart. I mean, this is making data fast. So once you get it out into like a 1 hour, 4 hour chart, this will, won't be as precise. So I like to use entries or exit points, or when I feel out a mass liquidation has occurred, that's when I like to enter trades, right? I like to wait for the washover first in order to make sure that, almost it's like a war. You want to make sure all the bullets have been tossed and then you can walk across the street nice and easily, right? So I want to look for places where price gets low and liquidates. Then I want to look for places where price gets low again and maybe even gets a little lower, but liquidates less people. And it creates a divergence too, It doesn't always happen, right? And even this could be the end of these liquidations for this point, and we could recover. And what I also want people to understand is this isn't a magic book. Like, just because you have it, it doesn't mean you're going to know exactly where price is going to go. But I will tell you, many, many times, I've been on my live stream, I've been sitting there, and I've been looking at what I'm seeing, and I see like a flag on my technical analysis. And this is just simple TA. We're coming back to retest that point at 17,600. We're oversold in the 7 and the 15-minute. Could this flag make a quick scalp? And this is a lot of people that trade, 25x leverage. I trade no more than 3x, 5x at the very most. Very rare for me to trade 10x leverage or something like that. And the reason is because I'm spoiled. I found Cardano with 2 cents, and it made me a good amount of money. I found Phantom. A lot of my trades lasted 5 to 7 months at a time. And I made a good enough money to be like, all right, like, I don't have to be in the rat race of trading I don't have to try to make $500 a day every single day of my life. You know what I mean? What I like to do is I like to put in like a larger amount, and I like to swing trade. But it doesn't mean that I don't take advantage. I take advantage of whatever probabilities, I've seen flags in the 7 that I just can't help myself and I will trade. But it's just not my general practice to trade. I'm not on the 1 minute. You won't catch me trading 10x leverage on the 1 minute. What Bookmap does for me personally is it helps me at key areas of support and resistance figure out where we're likely to go for the rest of the week, because we'll be at what are called battle zones. Right now, 17,005 and 17,800 is a pretty much a battle zone. Like, we get back above that, we can clearly get to 18.5 and back to this higher liquidity zone at 19,000. I'm also going to talk, I want to talk about the VRVP in a second too, which is really cool because once you start using that with Bookmap, it's amazing because you can visually see kind of the order book here, and then you can also see the order book on Bookmap, and they should somewhat coincide because, where you get a lot of people trying to load up should be places where you see some more action on the VRVP, right? The visible range volume profile, just showing you where the most volume is happening. So when I watch, when I was using Bookmap today, I see this liquidation here, okay? And then I'm looking for, is there any bigger buy orders? Like, is there someone loading up down at 16.6, 16.2? And no, they can spoof, which means they could put a big order here, leave it there for an hour or two, make it disappear. They can do that, technically illegal in other trading, but it's done all over the world in every market really. And as much as there is spoofing going on, Bookmap is pretty spot on. So like right now, I'm looking at a flag, and where is the target of this flag? It says 18,360, about 18K, right? We could double top at 18K there. We'll probably have see if we can get back above that. That will be a resistance point. All right. And the reason why that's going to be a resistance point is because you have people trading 50 and 100x leverage. And that move right there is going to be big enough for them to take a nice bite of their day. And they're not going to need to hand any more risk up in this. And they can get out right there at that resistance. So because all traders are looking at support and resistance in this way, you're going to have reactions at these points, right? So what I'm looking for is like a story here. I'm looking for an order at 18K, and there it is, 767 Bitcoin. I'm looking at an order at 18,003, 18,002, and I see the 18.2, and I see this other guy reaching at 18.5. This corroborates my story that this flag may have a higher likelihood of breaking to the upside, okay? And I've done this many times, and you'd be surprised, and specifically on the 7 and the 15 minute. I'm giving you gems here. These are two time frames that tend to work really well with Bookmap for me, in my experience. And the reason is because you can find out in the next few hours whether off this is gonna. I love the 7 minute because in 3 hours we're gonna know. It doesn't take that much longer to find out whether this flag will make an M pattern and dump on us or actually hit the target. We're gonna know in 3 hours probably tops, probably maybe less. And that's for people who like fast reward. You want to kind of be able to. It also helps for learning TA because how many flags can you draw on a 7 in a day and watch play out as opposed to waiting on the daily or the weekly, right? Another thing you want to look at is the VRVP here on the right side, right? How I access that is I just grab this, type in, and a lot of people call it the VPVR, but I see it's here as the visible range volume profile. But it is there as Viper, but I use the visible range volume profile. And I use I don't use the fix because I want to see it change as I add liquidity to the page. This will change. People say, why does it change? Because it changes how many candles that you're letting it see. And if I zoom in here and I only look at this section of data, it's just going to give me this section of buying and selling. But if I zoom out and I give it all of these candles, it's going to start to give me all the bigger data that I want to see. Okay? So that may confuse some people, I think, when they first use this indicator. It did for me. All right. It's good to admit when you don't know something. They can help you learn, right? I love admitting when I don't know something. It becomes a good habit. Because then you'll speak up when everyone else is sitting there in a room and you really don't know what's going on, and you'll get the answer that you need. And then you'll have that answer and you'll look smart at the next room when everyone else is sitting there. You'll be able to think, oh, I know exactly what that is. No one knew the day before, you had no idea, right? But that's the key is beginner's mind, right? Keeping the beginner's mind, realizing that you don't know it all and that there's always more to learn. So if later on today I see Bookmap inching up to the 17.8 into 18,000 region, I'm not going to be, it's not, it's going to be pretty obvious to me, right? I don't see much. They're fighting over liquidity. They're fighting over who's going to fill the book. Up here shows that they want it more. They want it more up here than they want it down here at the present moment in time. It could change. And again, remember, everything in trading, nothing is guaranteed at all. The second you get into the guaranteed box, or I know what's going to happen, that's when you lose your edge. Your edge comes from being always on call, like on call in a way, never knowing exactly what's going to happen, just setting parameters for what you will do if they do happen, right? You'll hear a lot of traders tell you that it's not like it's you set up, we get above the zone, I'll make this long. Like and I'll explain something, because a lot of people are like, yeah, traders say that, and over time you develop technique. I started using, and it really comes down to whatever instruments you use. I started using this simple 5 MA band 5 years ago. 21, the 50, the 80, the 100, and the 200. And you'd be like, well, why, Sam? Why? Well, and I traded the 4 hour a lot. And I really got to know how the 4 hour behaved with the 200 simple. And look, if we go all the way back in time here to where the bull market began in October 8th of 2020, you can see that the threshold or the doorway, into a bull market, one of the first, because 4 hour is a small time frame compared to a bull market, a weekly, monthly bull market, right? So to me, the 4 hours, even though it may be a big time frame to some people who trade like the 1 and the 15, to me, it's still a smaller time frame comparatively. And what I mean by that is it's the first substantial time frame that I'll take somewhat seriously, right? Like the 1 hour gets above the 200 simple, I'll be like, okay. But the 4 hour, so right here, the 4 hour breaks above the 200 simple. And it never really, that's it. Like after this move in October 7th of 2020, that's the beginning of a massive bull run for Bitcoin. Now we dabble below it a little bit here. And what will happen is the 4 hour will cross the 200 simple, then the daily will too. And you'd be like, well, why are we saying this, Sam? Well, I'm going to show you where we are right now and just kind of how it could be pretty substantial. Even if you don't have to believe in the big move, and that's what I love. Everyone wants to know, oh, we're going to go higher, what's going up? And look, lo and behold, look what's happening. We're getting liquidated, right? Right? We're seeing the liquidations now. This is beautiful. See how we're watching price get liquidated? Because we knew that there was more liquidity up there. It was more likely. Also the TA, my TA. Some guys don't use Bookmap at all, right? And they're using, but there's a lot of people see the flag that I saw here on the, I believe I had on the Coinbase chart. But I wasn't the only guy to attempt to scalp the flag that I had on the 2nd minute.
Hey Sam, it seems like I think you are only sharing the app Bookmap. So we're looking at just
okay.
So maybe try resharing, unsharing, and then resharing, and then
thank you for saying that. I never understand that about I'll be at Discord, so I can hit screen, and I can hit screen 1. That's what I need to do.
That's right.
Yeah. Screen. There we go.
There it is. Yeah, that looks better.
So sorry. And then they're not getting all the insight.
No, they kept on accusing me that, we didn't want to show that. It was political. So I was like, no, I think he meant the session range volume profile. And I don't know what he came up with, VP, VR, or whatever. Anyway, everything looks good now.
Excellent. All right, cool. So what I'm seeing is this flag, right? I play flags like this all the time. Low stochastic, MACD showing signs of a lack of bearish momentum. Even the RSI wants to flip from the middle section. This is a strong continuation pattern that I've played like hundreds and hundreds of times in my life. Specifically on the 15 minute, see if I can get a little more juice out of it on the 1 hour, if it can flip the 1 hour, But even if it just takes it could be a quick scalp on the 15. Point of the story is this tells me that there's likelihood of a move up. And then I see Bookmap, plowing the way through the liquidity zone. No, there's no politics here. We love everything is a family with us. But yeah, but these days you never know, right? Everyone's doing something funny. And what I love about this is I was expecting to see something here. I was expecting to see some short. These are people who were short getting liquidated now, right? I'm expecting to see this. Another game changer that will really change the way you look at things is there's this other liquidating indicator here. Works really good in the 15 minute. All right. I believe it's called, I don't even know who makes it. A buddy of mine just shares it with me probably 6 months ago. Give it a second to load. Once it loads, it's going to show us basically where the 100x is, where the 50x are, right, on either end of the trade. And a lot of times where this is thickest, they're going to go, right? So you can see that we're getting scant up here. So they might come up here and shred these guys, but then they see that there's a lot of longs down here, right, that have been loading up, getting excited, right? CPI data, whatever they want. Me personally, I want to wait for the Fed to come out tomorrow, give their number. I don't like to swing from the branches on these. A lot of people open up a long and a short. They wait for it to happen, and then they try to load it one way. I find I've made enough good decisions without the Fed meetings that I just use them as outliers to just watch the market. And then once it spreads, I go right back to kind of how I was trading again, But this is a cool thing you can add with Bookmap because it can just kind of add to the idea, like, where is everybody? Now, these aren't as many of the bigger whales, but it shows you, it shows you where a lot of orders may be placed on the order book, right? And where people are going to get liquidated if the price action may go there. And when I watch this a lot, you'd be surprised. A lot of times, like the TA where we're looking at, but by pure logic, you're like, yeah, but there's just so many more longs here than shorts, right? So once they come up here and get everyone, I mean, it's where are they going to go, right? And so it's just something to think about. And that also coincides with just my basic TA, right? When I looked at overextended on maybe a 4-hour time frame, you're overbought. You had a good move. Moves don't last forever, right? So that's just like a cool way to use Bookmap and to look at people that are on the other end of the trade, right? And see where they might actually be getting. And then you can see the liquidations here too as well. So it's kind of nice. You can kind of see where they are and then see them get taken out, right? And that can keep you from going into that zone, right? When you realize, well, why do I want to be one of those people? No, right? And that's another reason why planning the trade is so much better, because you have to remember the market maker decides what he's going to do as the herd decides what they're going to do. So like you're part of the problem as you become it. It's really weird. Like if you're on the wrong side of the trade. So it's better off to set support and resistance lines and say, you know what? If we, like you could set this up, Meg. If we do make an M here and the M drops back to the downside, then we make some type of wedge. I'd be looking to allocate here for a move to the upside. It's always better to kind of plan the trade before it happens, in my humble opinion. And you're not going to be right every time. The trade can keep going up. But what I do is, if 15 times in the next 2 weeks I do that, and 4 of them go right to my area, then those are trades that I take. And those are 4 great, those trades have such a higher probability. And maybe those are the only 4 trades I take that month or that, I always tell everyone, you don't have to chase the highest risk thing and feel like you missed it, because sometimes you sometimes the trade plays out, but it's a high risk play and you feel like you missed the trade, but like you really just didn't wing something that was a little too high risk, and that's why it's good to also have trading parameters, like things that you just don't do. Like I don't like buying coins at the bottom. Like, all people will put an altcoin on my live stream and it'll be at the lowest it's ever been. Now, unless I love that project and I've been really researching it, I know, I really know a lot about the founders and the creators and the devs, fine, I might grab it on that. But for me, trading wise, I want to see a support and resistance line get like right here. I wouldn't want to buy this low. I'd want to see it come up, bounce there and get in on that area, right? If that were to be a bottom. And I just like to use support or resistance in my favor instead of trying to chase bottoms or, run after tops and stuff like that. So like for Bitcoin, like, will I trade this flag? I mean, it looks pretty scrumptious to me with the continuation, and I know there's a lot, but with the data tomorrow, they could use all this to kind of just get people to jump in, get people to jump out, and they know people are uneasy. And when people are uneasy because the data coming out, it's easier to sway the market too, right? So, and again, I mean, more liquidations coming to the top, right? It was kind of something that we felt would happen because we didn't see that much liquidity down here. It wasn't rocket science, okay? And do we go all the way back up to 18K? I don't know if the bulls have enough to push us there right now at the present moment. There's a chance, though. If enough people begin to short, then they'll be, and if enough people keep getting in on the short, and that's what I found happens too. Bitcoin pumps up, and I see a lot of people that are like, they've been trading 2 years, but they haven't seen the anomalies, and their first instinct is, after the green candle, I just open shorts. And they're usually the first people in the liquidations, right? They get hit off. So like after this initial pump, a bunch of people started the shorting, which probably helped create this secondary pump to the upside because it was a short squeeze. And so you want the stubborn shorts to continue to pile on, right? And now I would never open up a short when the stochastics were this low, because that, on a long, on the real asset, I wouldn't short Bitcoin when the Bitcoin looks like it's going to pump on the 15. And you could just look at this, like every time the Stokes were low here, we eventually got a pump there, 1 for 1. Here we turned back around, and that was because the 7-minute was probably extremely low, like right here. Anytime Stokes don't go all the way down to their bottom point, which is like my constant, it's usually because the one on the smaller time frame got pinned. So like And what I mean by why do I even say that to you? It's kind of pretty cool insight. I would say this is how I like to trade personally. I watch a pump on the stochastics and I like to watch alerts and watch the stochastics reset. I want to see the momentum leave before I decide to get back in. And I like to set an alert like right here on this line or right, and when the stochastics hit this alert, it lets me know. So I don't have to stare at the price all day. I can wait. But every once in a while, I would miss a trade. Like a trade would come down and the 15-minute wouldn't hit my alert. That'd be okay because it was more an anomaly than it had. It happens less than you get your alert hit. But I've still missed huge moves. So I started putting alerts on the 7 too. And when the 7 gets really low, and that's how I learned one day. I missed a few 15-minute alerts, but the 7-minute caught me. And the 7-minute was able to keep me to get, got me to get into the trade because I was able to see the oversold behavior, right? I'm seeing a little bit of that right now for Bitcoin, showing signs that we could get a move back up to, I wouldn't be surprised if we hit the measured move here at 18,300, right? And we do see, if we had to load up, there's definitely more green and we see some heat up here. There's way more heat up here than there is down here, right? And this is what we call a book map, right? It's a heat map with an order book. And just like you're looking at, night vision goggles and you're looking at where the people are, where there's more liquidity, we're going to get darker zones. It's going to show up more on your vision, right? So that's kind of in a nutshell how I use Bookmap in conjunction with, pattern trading and support and resistance and order. And also that if you want to know what that indicator is, I believe it's called M lapidations. That's who makes it. And it's liquidation levels V2. I believe it's free for however long it could be. I don't know anything about the people or who they are, and I'm not trying to promote. I have no clue who they are. I'm like, no idea. And I've only used this, on and off for the last 6-7 months here and there. But it's come in handy a few times when the market's really iffy. My indicators are a little extended. We're trying to figure it out, and you can just see, hey, there's just more down there than up there. Where do you think they're going to go? And 8 out of 10 times, the liquidity really is the rule, Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we find as well. I mean, it really is about like the order flow, the liquidity and the aggressor. They form the patterns.
Yeah, because exactly, right? We think the pattern comes beforehand. And I mean, once you're in the zone, it almost doesn't matter, right? Because you're like, that's how you trade. But to see and understand that, no, it has to come from somewhere, right? And like if more of us begin to short, they're going to go after the, I used to think it was happening, like everyone longs, the market maker wants to do what he wants, but like, then I realized it was more almost like, I'm trying to think of the best example of it, but it's almost like the order book is alive, right? And it's going to make its decision when the more liquidity decides to enter into the book, right? And it kind of makes you realize how much more strategic you need to be to trade for a living,
Yeah. I mean, it's a really good point. All of this kind of like energy and talk and focus on patterns and indicators and math and all this kind of stuff. When you boil it down, it's about the behavior of the traders, during the day. That's it. That's what it's all about. It's that behavior that repeats. But you want to understand the behavior, and it's never the same, ever. It will always be somewhat different, but it will always rhyme though, and be similar. Like these flag patterns, like one flag pattern already played out there really nicely. That one there, yeah. I mean, just beauty, and then this is a deeper pullback, and now you're looking for that extension up into that those higher areas there, and that's where and you already know the liquidity's there.
And then you pull the mini fib and you're at the 618. It's so amazing. You know what I mean? Like it's like clockwork every time. It's like, that's like a golden pocket right there, basically. Which gives me the idea that this may at least make an M pattern. At least at the very least, some type of M pattern. And then now I'm looking at this area. And now I already know. So when we get up here and we battle through and we bounce off this and come up, it's like, well, I knew that was going to be the zone, right? Like, and of course, and then it's 18K, but numbers also come into play. Some people just choose those areas. I found the eights are of strangely gravitate. 17,008, 18,008, 19,008. It's like they picked it as like their next level to get through, and they use that to shred through people, and then they get to like the 17K area. It's almost, I've been noticing it so much. Like you got to really watch the eights. It's funny. Um,
That is funny. I mean, I know 8 is a very lucky number in um, Asian culture or Chinese culture. I, I have no
yeah.
idea if that's correlated or not.
I just feel like they know everyone's going to go to the fives, right? And they know all they have. They don't have much when we get into these $1,000 regions, right? Like 17.5, 18, 18.5, 19. And so I just found like, and I've only found it just because I do the live stream so much and how many days I was at, where I got to get through 19,008. My
Yeah.
whole screen turbo. I got to get through 19,008. I got to get through 17,800. Um, so I don't know if you can see my screen.
Yeah, no, it just went
I
down.
have a brand new, yeah, I have a brand new AMD driver that I put in. I have a brand new $5,000 computer that I just built,
Wow.
and in the last like 2 to 4 days, like randomly, uh, my drivers will just be. I was pretty.
So I think we're getting a connection issue because even the sound right now is not coming in well.
Let me go here. Yeah, let me see. I'm back
Okay, you're
now.
back. You're back. Yeah.
Yeah. It's my AMD drivers. They're, with of course, you upgrade your OSS, and next thing you know, something's up with the AMD driver. So we'll
Mm,
figure it out.
mm.
Back. It does like something like this randomly that I can't recreate though. Like it won't do this again for 5 days straight, right? So thank God I'm back. Sorry about that. I apologize.
No, no
At
worries.
least I wasn't interviewing like Michael Saylor or anything. Uh, But yeah, I mean, you guys have helped me in so many ways. The lifers, everyone in my group, they love Bookmap. They load it up. They use other forms of watching liquidity too. It makes everyone more creative in how we think of approaching the market, and it gives us the real data to see. Like we're not just like well that there's a pretty good area of a bounce. Like I don't know how many times like I'm going to bed, and someone will be in my trading group only for 4 to 5 months. They'll get Bookmap, and I'll be on my way down and there'll be like huge sell wall at 18.8, and like or 18.2, whatever it is, and I'll go the next morning we wake up and you can see we got sold off right at the Bookmap bar, So I used to think it was a little more complicated that I had to know like all these little secret in and outs and but honestly it's as much as just seeing what you see and trusting what you see. That's what's the hardest thing about new traders, even as I get into trading and I like if you step away for a few weeks and you have to come back. Uh, it's about gaining the internal trust in how you feel about the situation because you'll see the same things over and over again, but can you take advantage of it? You know?
Yeah, that's really nice to hear. I mean, that you know, Bookmap does look intimidating when you first start using it, and that it's some sophisticated tool. And all it's showing you is just the players, just visualizing them via the heat map and the volume dots. And that's it. The only other element on the screen is price action, best bid and offer. That's it. It's just best bid and offer. So it's not complex at all. In fact, with that view that you had there, I think in yeah, right there is way more complex. You've got three indicators and moving average. You got candlesticks, and the concept of the candlestick is even that is more complex. So we got something here.
Yeah, it probably it just I'll load it back up again.
Okay. And that is actually in concept, and you have a volume profile too. Um, uh, way more complex in concept than what Bookmap is displaying. Very simple stuff. It's
Yeah,
just
for
show,
sure.
yeah, I love the way that you're using it, Sam. Just keeping it really simple. It's like, well, okay, I'm looking for these patterns to unfold. Now I'm looking at the order flow and the behavior of the others. to give something that's higher probability.
Yep. I'm just trying to find another piece of the story that make it make sense, and also sometimes it's good to just it keeps me out of the market when I know it's just pointless to be traded. Like I can see it's monkey business.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
And I can see where my edge isn't giving me an edge, and that's kind of like um that's what it is for me. That it's done the most for me on days where I would have been forced into a trade from the excitement or just the feeling, oh, I got to trade CPI data, I got to trade Fed meeting, and it's really kept me calm and cool and collected, and then like watch people just like realize like why I didn't want to trade that day, or a few times I remember one time I caught a long that I never would have caught. There would just been no way because the 7 minute was extremely oversold, but there was a flag, right? But my indicators were telling me to stay out of the market, but there was just this gigantic order book sitting there, and I said I'm taking a shot on this, and it ripped through the order book, and I wrote a long up while everyone else shorted the market because all the indicators told you to short the market, even mine. But Bookmap told me no, 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 you wait this one out. So what Bookmap does for me is, the Stochastic RSI gets what's called pinned a lot, and it gets pushed up in here, and it will stay up here. It's almost like they know how to do it. It makes me wonder, but it gets pinned, and when it gets pinned up there, I'm unable to. I'm unable to. That's when my probability begins to evaporate. And many times I've seen it pinned, but I've seen a huge order book waiting, and then I've jumped in and then watched everyone get liquidated as I've made a trade.
nice, nice. So let's see what's going on there. If you,
I would have to hold on one second. I'll have to do I think I just got to do a hard task manager.
okay.
Yeah, I got to end the task and restart the task again. That's all. Could have something to do with see the AMD bug report. There it is.
Maybe, yeah.
I'm at my tech. I have a good tech guy who like he gets in on trading, on TeamViewer, and he'll like run through my drivers, maybe reset my OS or whatever it is.
Yeah, might be having some sort of
No, it's
issue
not
there.
Bookmap. It's definitely an AMD. Because Bookmap is so audio and video intensive. With the back end of the.
Makes sense. Yeah, I mean, we rely heavily on that on the card, the video card.
I bought a new computer for you guys. You know what I mean? Like that's like, because like I wanted to be able to live stream. It's funny now. I'm having issues today, but the computer can handle. I put like hundreds of gigs of RAM in there. Like it's like the thing has like a 16 core. It's out of control. Like
Oh, excellent, excellent.
yeah, it's got everything you need. And then we went up and got the. I could have gotten just in the video, but I went and got this AMD Radeon $2,000 graphics card that like only they would use it like a CMG. People who are doing computer graphics and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, great.
Yeah, here's just a picture if you wanted to say any last like pieces of what we're looking at, or anyway, yeah, like he said, I mean, it's not that, it's showing you where people are laying and it's showing you where people are buying. One thing that I keep wanting to get into that I don't is the cumulative volume delta. Like you've explained it to me a few times. It's not that, but I don't know if you want to show people like, isn't there a way to show it on the screen, right?
Sure,
If I could add it
sure.
down there.
So see at the bottom of the price ladder there. There's that little arrow. Click on that. There it is, right there. Yeah.
And and explain it in your best way. You've
Yeah,
explained it to me.
yeah, sure, sure. So zoom and then hold on the price ladder, like kind of left click, hold, and drag up and down on the price ladder. Like the seven, yeah, right in there. Left click, hold, and drag up. Yeah, so we can see a little bit of the price action in there, the back and forth. Yeah. So okay, so yeah, I see you have. Oh, you have it on a real. Yeah, you've got some. There's some driver issues for sure. Uh, Here because the price ladder is a bit, or maybe you're showing it per $100. I don't know what your tick value is
I
here.
think I might be at a very small tick setting. Like,
Yeah, you might be at a really large one, like $100. I'm not sure because it's not showing a yeah, or either that or it's a confliction here with that new card. Yeah, I think it is. No, it's not. You're showing it every $100, which is
Yeah.
fine. I mean, it's up to you how you want to show it. Um, but anyway, CVD is super simple. All it's doing is taking, if it's a sell, aggressor like a market sell, that has a number. It's a negative number. If it's a buy, it's a positive number. And all CVD does is add it together, one trade after another. So you can tell if there's more sellers than buyers overall, because it just plots it on the chart. It has nothing to do with the price. It has everything to do with just the volume traded.
It's like counting cards in a way.
I mean, like it's kind of like it's just disassociated with price. So that's where you get the divergences. So for example, see how price is going a little bit higher right now, or kind of, yeah. I mean, like, but the CVD is not. It's because there's a little more selling than there is buying right now.
And that
So
that's because this is at a negative 180. If this flipped to positive, it would be the other way
no,
around.
no.
No.
So that's the overall output for now, the market. It's really about the red line there, that you're looking at.
Mhm.
So it's just buyers versus sellers. So very, very, very simple and straightforward. And if there's more buyers, you should see CVD go up with price. Price should go up and CVD should go up, right? Because it's usually buy volume that makes the market rise. However, let's suppose you see lots of buy volume and you don't see price rise. Well, likely it means that someone's on the bid, or I'm sorry, on the offer, absorbing all of that buying. So they're still buying because CVD is right, but price isn't moving because there's limit orders that are absorbing. So price isn't moving, but the volume, there's lots of sell or lots of buy volume.
Yep. Awesome.
So kind of what's happening right now, a little bit. They're absorbing there at that 720 area, and you can see it trade into that liquidity there. So
Mhm.
yeah, and CVD is actually not. Price is kind of going up a little bit, but CVD is not.
Yeah, you can see this was going up this way, but this was heading down,
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
creating a divergence.
Yep. There's a bunch of different ways to look at it, but a lot of traders are looking at for divergence.
Yeah. So like we kind of have to skip this, get over this sell wall here at 17.8 to get to 18. Like,
That's
see,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, that's right. There has to be a lot of buyers trade into and through that area. And yeah, let's see if they're starting to pick it up right now. So let's see if they do.
Got the and then some shorts get squeezed, right?
Exactly. Liquidations are picking up there, so they're starting to hit some liquidations. Um, and usually that kind of like means there's softness to the upside. If they're going to start to hit some traders that have to be liquidated, well, then it needs to kind of explore that area and see how many are there, because they might just keep liquidating on the way up.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
interesting. I mean, I be surprised how many times the pattern showed it or the book map showed it, and then you get when you use them so much, you just I don't have that argument anymore. I just use the data, right? Like, but it's like I find it so fascinating. What a great product, Uh, now, what about the green line? This green line, that was just the buys that came in. Is
No,
that like?
that's it's showing a different indicator there completely. That's showing the liquidations.
Oh, those are liquid. Yeah, so the green
Yeah.
line are liquidations. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's just 2,000 or $2,000 worth, or what does it say there? 2K, is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, 2K2, yeah.
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 So only 2,000 got liquidated, but it started to hit some. and that's why you see that small spike there.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Oh, yeah. So these are liquidations CBD. There
Yeah,
you go.
exactly, exactly.
And you can just flip and flip.
King of crypto. No, there are no hidden orders here in crypto that we can access.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know if Sam, can you maybe take a look at? I'm just kind of curious that flag earlier in the day. I don't know how long ago that was. No, not on Bookmap, on your other chart there. Yeah, the one that you have the like, yeah, right in there. Yeah, and what time was that? And then can we look at Bookmap maybe and see what it looked like?
That was on at, let's say, 8:15 in the morning,
Oh,
right?
okay. Yeah, the data. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So I may not have it. I don't know if I was up at that time. No. Or I was up, but I wasn't. Usually I have Bookmap running by 7 in the morning though.
Yeah, and we just had to restart it too,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so we don't
Awesome.
have it.
I
So
wanted to do that. Like I was actually, that was like it hit my mind, but I was like, I actually, like my mind said to do it, but then I was like, oh, I can't. Like I had a conversation with my brain, and I was like, no, I can't. Mm.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, I like it's great. Like the way you're looking at and using Bookmap is like confirming your patterns to give you that um, extra information to support your trading decision.
Yep. Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people use it that way for for optimizing their strategies, just like this, like a flag pattern. Okay, to optimize that, what does the order flow tell you?
It's like what you're looking at. Just saying that. See, what I see is there's more people willing to absorb price action above 18,000 than there is below 17.3, 17.4.
Yeah,
So telling me that, like, if you wanted to go out and party, there'd be more people to party with out here at this. There'd be more fun up here than there is down here. You know, um, it doesn't always just make a right turn and go up, but I have to say, I'd say 80% of the time it does. You know, like it kind of says that we're gonna go up there. So it would be dumb to open a short at this point, in my opinion. Like until at least the 15 a minute in momentum subsides, right? And that's why this could all change. Like this could make an M pattern, and then we could see resistance, and now you're looking at a short and resistance, and it changes the scenario, right? Then you could get too many people shorting, and then it would change the order book, and then they might load up here, and then that might be the place to long because that's where everyone's going to get liquidated, So it's like by seeing the bearish pattern beforehand or the bullish pattern beforehand, and seeing where people will get caught up in the trade, right? And then what I like to do is then I watch them get washed out here, and see the liquidations just confirm to me when I do that. So if I project a washout, like an area where I believe people will get on most people will take the trade that way, right? Because I can't trade like everybody else, right? You got to let the masses trade, and then I have to trade into them, right? And it kind of have to be smart money. Like I can't do it for a living, right? So Bookmap allows me to do that. It kind of allows me to sidestep, basically where most people are trading, in one direction. Like sometimes it's obvious, but you don't want to take the first obvious move. You want to take maybe the second obvious move. So that's
yeah,
what I
yeah.
a lot of.
No, great stuff, Sam. I mean, like let's see, it looks like one of your crypto lifers here loves to quote you. I know nothing but the fact of my own ignorance.
Yeah, 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 exactly. I remember it was on the wall in like a diner one night, Socrates, and I always remember, and I looked up and like I was like, I should say that to myself more often, so I'm not such a smart butt, like I kind of was like, I was always kind of a smart aleck growing up, like, and I had to, had the energy, I was, so I had to like find ways to humble myself, to bring myself back down to earth, and I always would keep these sayings with me, um, because you know, specifically in finance too, or your account or portfolio gets, to a place where you're happy with, and that's usually where a place where people can actually start to go backwards or do something, or do the wrong thing too, buy cars and watches and garbage that you don't really need. So I like to just remind myself to stay humble. We're here to help each other. If you do make something to yourself, start a school, like, give back. Like, you can always buy a nice car and give back, or you can buy the middle car and give back, instead of just buying the nicest things in the world, whatever. And I'll try to do that too. I'm talking to myself. I'm not saying I'm the greatest person since sliced bread. I'm just, little sayings like that just keep embedding me to hopefully become a better person, right? And do the right thing. So, because we all get tempted every day. All right. I believe in the devil.
No, I mean, the staying humble part is just so key. I feel in trading, it's really great to hear. I mean, how did you come across that in your own trading?
What it is, I have to, I'm in cake. Cake went up huge. I was making like $1,000 a day in DeFi at one point, right? And I got a little ahead of myself. Like I was like, I'm gonna rent the Lamborghini for the day. You know what I mean? I was just like starting to think like, I did a few absurd things. And then like Bunny gets hacked, you lose 25,000 of it. I ended up taking a good amount out of cake, and it was a good win. But I look back on those times and I was like, I was kind of drinking the Kool-Aid, and so it made me realize that it was human. It made me realize that I'm vulnerable, and it made me realize that I need to like kind of create a wall. You know what I mean? Because when the bull market comes, I'm telling everyone here, like if you make 8 grand in a night, 10 grand in a night, or even if forget the money, you just make, a big trade that you've never made in your life. Like it'll do something to how you feel. And, I've been through it now 2 times in a row, like watching my, 2017 rally was crazy. This last rally was crazy. So like, I hope the next rally, I'm just even more humble, I'm a little more steadfast, like, and I didn't do crazy things. Like I could have been way worse, but I could see how it could have gotten worse. I could see how my mentality gets swayed when you make a lot of money in a small amount in a bull market. I'm not trying to, just the bull markets are crazy. The money comes so fast, like things can happen so quickly. And I just hope and pray to God that like I remind myself of the bear markets and the slower times. And what I tell everyone too is to have a dream or something to do with the money. I was saying this to someone the other day, like, me personally, I don't own any real estate in Florida. I would love to own a home in Florida. Like, I know the market's a little saturated right now, but that's something. So that's my goal now. Like, if I get into another coin like Phantom, I was able to do a 20x with Phantom. I was able to do a 25x with EGLD. So like the next time I make a 20x or 50x like that, I want to scale out at 17, 16x, and put the down payment on that home, like, because when you don't, if you just have a vision of, I want to be a millionaire in the bull run, and like you have no number, like maybe you'll hit 1 million, then you'll be at 2 million, and like you're like, but what I might as well go to 4 or 5, and then the market changes. But if you had a goal in mind, or I want to buy my mom a house, or my mom's struggling, I want to make sure she doesn't have any more payments, and your account hits 200 grand, and you could pay taxes and still get your mom out of that. It's like, so I want to just, to everyone here and to myself, tell myself, like, have a plan with what you want to do with crypto. Have a plan with where you want to go when the bull market ends, because if you don't, you may just ride it up and down, and like many people have, or you may just like not fully realize your dreams. And so that's where all this stuff comes from. Is I've ridden a little too hot before, man, and I burned myself, and I don't want to do it anymore. So yeah.
Nah, that's great. It's great to hear. We do have a question here, and before we wrap up, Drew is asking, can we go over the correlation with VRVP that you showed and Bookmap when that chart wasn't available or up?
Yeah. So great. This is actually really cool. So look, we're looking at Bookmap right now, right? And if I scroll in here a little bit, so you can see this area that we touched on at 17,600, okay? And then we bounce back up to about 17.8. So if we look at it here, you can see that like right around this area here on the VRVP, that's where like the beginning of, more volume begins to occur here. It's like 17.66, 17.6, and then it gets thicker into the 1700s, right? So in basically when you look at where a big order should get filled or not filled to, and right now it may not do it. Let's see if it's doing it now. but a lot of times I'll see it. Like I'll scroll up, specifically zoom, I kind of in a bigger zone, and see I see this big zone here, 18,000 to 18,200. Okay, and then I'll look at my VRVP. Let me see on like a 4-hour time frame. Bring some more liquidity here. Let's see. And do we see? This may not have. See it load. So here we have a 19,001. Like what you'll in here we have like an 18,400 area, right? 400. Now when I look at Bookmap, it starts to get a little scant, but it's showing me, look, into that zone, into this area between about 18,002. It gets a little scanner at 18,004, but there is liquidity there. A lot of times you just either they're using another aggregated data set, which is showing them order books too as well, right? Which they may actually even have like a dark pool or something. But to me, the VRVP is still picking up on those areas where you're going to see a lot of action. So, you will. It's not going to happen every time, but if you use the Bookmap and the VRVP together over and over again, over time, what you'll start to see is you will see, similar areas being, and again, what's interesting about this, it becomes a conundrum in a way because say you didn't use Bookmap at all, say you didn't use the VRVP at all, but you were a Fibonacci trader and a support and resistance trader, and even psychological support, like 18,000 was an area where people take profits. 21,000 right here is an area where people take profit. Look at this area is at 19,200. Yeah, these give you a little more data. Like it's not 19,000, it's 19,173. And the reason behind that I found is because when I first got into trading, I only knew maybe say my support and resistance, and I'd mark them. And like you see, like this area, you'd be like, well, there's a resistance, so we should come and bounce, right? But then like a fib trader would pull a fib and he'd be like, well, that's also a 0.5 fib area that I'm getting in on. And then I started realizing, wow, like, look, like this area of liquidity, which is the VRVP, coincides with basically the 618. This area right here is pretty close to the zone of the 0.5. These two bounce here right off that, off the, the 236. And so it's uncannily, like what came first, the chicken or the egg? Like, did the guy start trading support and resistance first? Or did he start trading Fibonacci first? And then lo and behold, a lot of people are going to go to the areas to open and close their trades. They're going to leave a footprint. That's the VRVP. And then the Bookmap data is also showing us where people are getting liquidated a lot. And they're using a lot of this data to open their trades. So you can see how it becomes it's like the snake biting its tail in the end. Like data will become of data. I hope I'm making somewhat sense of that. But yeah.
Yeah. No, I think we got your point. And also just you're looking at something that is more confluence here to support your trade idea, that's how you get a higher probability trading plan.
Yeah, like there is a reason to hug on to this 15-minute flag here. Like it's not insane that this may break up to 18,000, right? And I even have like some orders to prove it, right? I mean, if I open this up right now and it was all red down here and there was nothing up here, I trust in Bookmap enough that I would be like, this flag looks like it's gonna roll over. What I'm looking for too now, it's just because I've seen it so much, is I'm looking for this right shoulder. This little, which could also end up being like a breakout and a possible retest, or it could even just stay inside the pattern and come low. But now, you're looking for the inverted head and shoulder. And what I would like to see is maybe like, Bookmap dips, liquidates that last little section of people. And so that would also be good for me because I was like, oh, it's making my right shoulder. And I just got that little liquidation dip, like that one we saw earlier on the long. That helps me decide whether my pattern's filled out or not. Right? Because again, like Bruce said, this inverted head and shoulder that breaks out, or if it gets created, it's getting created because of the liquidity zones that were made, right? Like there was a bunch of people here that needed to get liquidated. That was the right shoulder. It's fascinating how the more the more you're like, and two traders that trade differently can eventually have the same conversation if they spend enough time because they'll be like, oh, you're doing what I'm doing, but you're just doing it this way,
Yeah, exactly. exactly. It's amazing. Like everyone's looking at more or less the same areas, but they're describing it so differently.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I remember when I didn't have certain indicators that I use now, and I made the exact same trade sometimes. I just explain them differently now. And I wonder like how much I could peel away and how much I could add. You know, like one day this is crazy, but like I just took price action off. Like I was like, I think I could trade without it. And someone would look at me like, "You're what? And I was like, yeah, I mean, I get in when the moving averages are tight and I sell when they're far apart. Like I don't need to see price action, you know, like I know that's gonna make a move up. Like I know that's gonna make a move up because I got tight and I got a golden cross right there. And I was like, I wonder if I could just trade with no indicators, just these moving averages, you know, like I'm definitely gonna one day I want to do some like peel away experiments and like see how minimalistic I could become. You know, there's some people that use price action and volume only, right? And they just juxtapose that. However, I do say as much as that's fun, there's days where this order book just I need to see what's going on in the order book. Like I need to see the liquidations because if I can't get the liquidations, then I know we're not done yet. You know, like until you know, and look, there's that short squeeze again.
Right.
You know, I can't tell you how many times I've put out a flag like this and it's broken out, and they call me, "Oh, that guy's the greatest. He's the lifer," and I'm like, I'm just trading what the charts give me. You know, it just if you show up every day and you trade the probability, you get to be the guy that's right. You know what I mean? But it's really just the charts that are right. I'm just the guy showing them. You know.
Nice.
Everyone tries to take an ego over a call, right? Like, look what I did. And it's like, man, like, you just said it was going to, you know, you just pointed out there was a rain cloud and it rained. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I try to, and I do that because I want people to, I want to take my ego away so my students realize that they can do it too. That it's not the person, it's the analysis, right?
This is such a great point. I love hearing it, and you know, thanks for that, Sam. I've thought for the longest time, and I say some of the times during the Bookmap webinars, like boy, I'll tell you, like the more objective I can be with the analysis, it's not about any ego. It's not about like I think it's going there or whatever. No, the chart tells you. You're just kind of like pointing to that cloud and saying like it should rain here because it's dark and you know it's really dark and I start to see it break apart a little bit at the bottom end of the cloud, you know, it's gonna rain. And it helps so much instead of like trying to be egotistical about it.
That comes from Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas. He's like, if, like, cause like when you really, when you read a book by a professional trader and they tell you how to survive and you trust it. He's an older man. You can feel the professionalism and what he did. You know, he has the track record and he just tells you to be wary of yourself, right? Like every pat on the back is your next demise, you know, for me with trading, you know, and it doesn't mean celebrate your losses and it does, I mean, not celebrate your wins. And it doesn't mean have confidence in yourself, but it just, you know, look what I did. Look at me, look at my trade. Like, it's like, you know, I had a good mentor and he used to say, you know, best thing to tell my students when to sell. Like, do you want to call someone and tell them about the trade right now? Get out. You know, hey Bruce, dude, I'm up huge. You know, like if you have a trading buddy and like you guys go back and forth and like you have to show, like, dude, I just nailed it. It's probably a good time to close the trade. You know, like if it's so good you want to show someone, you probably should get out. You know, like. And he's like, dude, I've used that so many times. And like, man, like right after I wanted to post that picture, the trade went right down. You know, it's like, oh, now I can't show anybody. You know, I wanted to be a show off. You know, it's like, you know, trading gets you the second you think you get it. It's weird, you know. Like you always have to be wary, and you always have to realize you're a human and that you're using probability, nothing else. Right? And you're not a genius and you don't know the answer and you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And YouTubers, we tend to get a following and then people follow us and we're afraid if we say anything that shows our vulnerability that we're going to lose people or people aren't going to listen to us, right? And it's actually the complete opposite. The more human you are, the more you show your vulnerabilities, the more people will follow you, the more people will begin to actually trust what you teach. You know, because you won't have to be right all the time because there's no way you're going to be. I tell all my students too, it's like everyone wants to meet, come to the lifer, sign up to his trading group, and you're going to win every trade, right? And like if you watch his channel every day, he's going to be right every day, you know? And it's like, And I tell everyone, okay, let's go over the scenario that I'm right every day. Let's just go over it. Like I'm so good that I never hit every flag I put out hits exactly the measured move. And like, so it gets on that I'm that good, right? So I get 100 followers, 100,000, then a million. Then eventually half the world follows me and there's no one on the other end of the trade, right? Because everyone takes my trade. No one else actually takes the trade. So we can't even trade then because the order book is only one way, like, so like if there wasn't a 100% trader out there, it wouldn't exist. It wouldn't work because that person would have to be fallible because then people would be like, oh, well, sometimes we should trade against them. And that would actually create an order book. I don't
Yeah.
know if that's funny to me. That fascinated me one day when I took my brain all the way to the end of if you were the greatest trader on earth and the whole world followed you, like, then there would be no one else to trade with. And you couldn't trade. Everyone would
Oh,
take trade. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I think the larger players that have to deal with this all the time in the market. Like they have these huge positions and accumulated over time, and like unwinding those positions is not easy at all. I mean, FTX. Look at that. You know,
Hmm.
and look at the drop in crypto. I mean, just huge unwinds.
You're telling me it's going to be a chore to be a billionaire, huh?
Well, I mean, we're as retail traders, like we can get in and out so quickly and so easily.
Yeah.
But larger players, like it's not easy at all. They have the money; they can withstand it going against them, and average into that position. However,
Yeah.
trying to average out of that position might be pretty difficult.
Well, they need a bull run, right? Like that's why we're going to have another bull run because how else do they unload, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you'll get these just crazy swings. Anyway, um, so Sam, we're over an hour period.
excellent.
So thank you so much. I know this was kind of hit and miss here.
Well, I'm sorry that we had a few little techie issues. I'm happy we cleaned them up and everyone stayed with us.
Yeah,
Appreciate
yeah, exactly. I think we answered all the questions in here. Just double checking.
it. Yep, the rabbit hole, King of Crypto, 100% win rate is I can't say. Starts with Nancy, ends with Pete. No, I'm just messing around. Well presented demonstration of Bookmap, Sam. This was outstanding. Thank you. I appreciate you, King of Crypto, and Say to Face and the new people that I met here today. Shout out to Love Learning. Shout out to all the awesome people here. Thank you so much. Calderonster, man, my man Kevin. Love you, brother. Um, and Bruce, man, it's always great to hang out with you. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, no, thank you, Sam. Miss you. We'll do another event with you soon, and get it rolling here with you. Love your stuff.
My wife was like, you know what? You haven't done Bookmap in a while. I'm gonna reach out. I'm like, okay. She like runs my whole schedule and piecemeals everything together. So she's the blessing. She's the blessing.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, well, yeah, guys, please hit the like button there for us for Sam, and also subscribe to the channel. We have all sorts of people all the time, and we'll have you again here soon, Sam.
Thank you. Have a blessed day. Everyone
Okay,
have a great day. Bye.
thanks, Sam.